Now, many thanks and a big karibu. Anje Kusimba is my name now, coming to your airwaves with the 90 Plus podcast at Switch TV Kenya. Of course, we are live across all social media platforms at Switch Media, so you can get interactive as possible because there's lots and lots of stuff that have been happening in and around the world of sports. I mean, ranging from Formula One, we've had some action-packed weekend when we are talking about rugby. That's the Driftwood Sevens in a coast, and we've also had the FKF Super Cup, which I might as well say it did not go as planned to most of the fans, but it is what it is. It's something that ushered us into the new 2026-2027 campaign. I mean, it's going to be bigger, better, and even enticing. Something to note is that you're looking at Kenya Premier League sides. They've signed and they've beefed up their squads when we are talking about their depth, because one thing I'll tell you to take it to the bank is that this particular season, it's going to be a Kenya Premier League of nothing short than greatness. I mean, I'm not alone today. I'm joined by the one and only Mohamed Farah, who's just also here to dissect matters of what has just happened, just the nitty-gritties of the weekend, and what we should look out to when we are talking about sports overall this week and also next week. And why should I even leave without mentioning that the English Premier League has also come to pass? A lot of shockers day one, and one thing I can say is that let me also be an advocate of David De Gea. He just said that it's not all about the start. Focus on the end. That is going to be my tagline this week. I mean, until we get to match day 2, which is really going to be packed when we are talking about English Premier League football. Moha, mambo vipi?
Niko salama.
Yeah.
Weekend has been good. And yeah.
Okay, first things first. You are a supporter of which club? English Premier League?
Liverpool.
Liverpool.
And they disappointed me last
They
night.
also disappointed you?
Yeah.
One thing I can tell you is that we carried the disappointment this whole weekend. But let's go with David De Gea's sentiment that, you know what? It's not all about how you start, but how you finish. Of course, there is also the FKF Super Cup, which went down this particular weekend. That was Gor Mahia, the husband of all Kenyan clubs, as they tend to call themselves. As an AFC Leopards fan, I have something about that particular one, but we'll just give them their cape because that's what they wanted. They'll just carry that hat. They were up against Tusker. Remember, Tusker are the ones who qualified and won. That is the FKF Cup last season. So tentatively, that's why they had to play the FKF Super Cup. That's the opener when we are getting into the season. So they kicked it off with the league winners, who were Gor Mahia. And this is what went down in that particular encounter. Before we come back, and we also have our view on the same. Have a look at what went down between Tusker and Gor Mahia.
Tutakuwa nalichungulia wakati wote. Kwa sasa wanasalimiana, wanapeana heshima na shima. Iwai tena. Yetu hatari.
were too much. We did funny mistakes, and as a result of that, we conceded goals, and it's becoming a little bit of a problem, and we have to be able to solve it quickly before anything happens.
Coach, a lot of changes we've seen. You've brought in the new players in this game, testing them. Is it something that you're trying so that you get your final 11 that can compete against Pyramid or in the league?
No, you are wrong. We are not testing. We've gone past testing, you know. Today, those who started, are players we can close our eyes and say they should play. So it's not about testing. We've gone past that. We didn't do well in certain areas of the game, especially when we were defending. We didn't do that, and it has affected us today. And in fact, the goals that they scored is as a result of individual mistakes, and it's happening a lot. We have to be quick to solve that problem before anything at all.
Thank you. Big win in the first game. What next for Tusker?
Yeah, it's a good start. It's a competitive game. It's not friendly against the champion who've been to the final in Sekafa Kagame Cup. So yeah, it was a tough game, but I think we deserve a win. Obviously, we scored three good goals. We have managed when they came back. So in terms of tactical, in terms of technical, and in terms of mental, it was a good game from our side.
Your new players who have come in and the ones who are there are now adapting, and they've gelled. Is it something that we'll see for Tusker in this new season?
Yeah, because the game plan and the game philosophy is the same, remain the same since I'm here. So all the former Tusker player, they integrate the new players by telling the principle in that action, you do that, and I repeat on training session. So it's easy technically and tactically to enter the team because we know what we have to do in every situation. Then it's up to you individually if you are fit or not, and if you are also mentally ready. But today I'm very proud because we have won without our captain Abu Doma, without the second captain Teka, without Victor Mbauma, without Wasama Hassan and Eric Kapaito. So it's a huge performance from the guys.
Congratulations.
Okay, and you know, I've just been looking at the goals, and it actually brought me to more or less like I had a comment from a Gor Mahia fan who was very bitter about the scores of this particular one, and they were so categorical, and they said being in a position where we are being scored a header goal with the shortest man on field, it shows something, or rather it says something about our centre backs, that is Kibwage and Franco Diambo. What can you say about it? What's your take home in that particular game? Do you think Gor Mahia really outclassed themselves? Do you think Gor Mahia put their best foot forward? Because that has been the complaint so far, that they didn't put their best foot forward when we're going to that game.
As a Gor Mahia fan, I will say I watched yesterday's match. Though I was quite busy, but I watched the highlights. Yeah, actually they didn't put their foot on performance, back to starting from the midfield point to forward point. I mean, the disappointment came back from also defense where they couldn't manage, and yeah, I will say same as what the other fans said. Yeah, I think they didn't perform well and they didn't put their best performance out. Yeah.
Okay, and let's look at the season, because that is just but the opener. We've seen Tusker just the other day here. We were analyzing Tusker, that is in the Sekafa Kagame Cup. I wouldn't say they performed well in Sekafa Kagame Cup because they only managed one win. That was against, what's that team? The club from Djibouti. The name is actually, I don't know why I'm forgetting the name, but it was a club from Djibouti. That was their only win when we are talking about the Sekafa Kagame Cup this particular year. And look at them now. The trajectory, I'd say it's more or less like it's a climbing lane. They've won against Gor Mahia. What would you say is going to be the outcome of this league? Because now Gor Mahia, they are the club who, okay, from how they call themselves, the husband of all Kenyan clubs. But they've been beaten. The season has just started. What do you think the season will look like?
Okay, the season, I think Tusker also will perform in this season. Talking of signing new players like Abu Domar and other international players, I think their performance will be well. And as you said, De Gea said, it's not what you start.
It's not how you start.
Yeah.
Chungulia wakati wote kwa sasa wanasalimiana, wanapeana heshima na shime mangoni. Na wakati
And Gor Mahia, I think they might have chance, not they will have chance, because what we see right now is their performance from the start is not well performed. I don't think we have the right to blame them at the end of the season, because I see now what they do before even the season started. And yeah, I think I will say they might have a chance to perform in this season again.
They might have a chance.
Yeah, they might have a chance.
And do you think that's Charles O'Connor, the coach? Do you think he still has the first 11 at hand? Because Gor Mahia really reminds me of some time back. I think it was the major setback for Arsenal. Just before they started their build-up, Arsenal had not just found the gist when we are talking about their first 11. And I honestly think it's just the same trouble that Gor Mahia will face. Because the coach gambled. He gambled. He didn't know that these ones are the players who are supposed to start. At some point, I remember he brought in the likes of Sharif, but it was too late, done and dusted. I'd point up and say that the likes of Sakari was brilliant in that game. That's a good signing, of course, from Kenya Police. Sakari was brilliant in that game. But the rest of Gor Mahia players, I'd say they were just garbage in that game.
I think this season, talking of the coach, I don't think he actually has the probability to have the first lineup, maybe the first 11, to see like they have a potential goal maybe to win the season or perform well in the season. I think they need to work. Still, I don't believe they have the chance. As a Kugalo fan, I'm talking of the truth that it's much of a disappointment. Yeah.
And I'm also looking at maybe what encountered that's off pitch, because there was a lot of fracas and commotion. This is my own personal opinion, by the way. The opinion that I'm about to state does not reflect Switch Media. This is me. I honestly believe that crowd could have been managed perfectly well. That's on yesterday's encounter, because you look at how the police managed the crowd. It's probably what escalated to whatever happened in that particular game, because we cannot be having such kind of issues day in, day out. It actually even locks out people who are really genuine and they just want to come and support their clubs while they are playing. So I honestly feel like FKF should do something where I think it should be something, maybe just even offer some little bit of knowledge, or rather just a workshop for the stewards and also the police officers that are going to be there on match days. I think it will come in a long way when we are talking about just making our stadiums safe when we are talking about match days, because what happened yesterday was really tragic. And but to football fans outside there, this is what happens in football. You look at I think there is also AS Milan, Inter Milan. There are derbies outside there which are actually very chaotic. So I honestly don't feel like whatever happened yesterday should be a pointer when it comes to somebody saying that they won't go for the next Kenya Premier League game because of just what happened yesterday. Actually, it wasn't even that bad. We're just trying to condemn and call it out so that the next time we can improve when it comes to allocating the stewards and also the police who are actually coming there. What can you say? What's your opinion, you as a Gor Mahia fan? Do you think that your fans are the ones who are troublesome? Do you think they can also manage themselves? Or what's your thought in it?
Well, they can also manage themselves, because this is not the first time that such things happen. Police interfering with the fans, throwing tear gas and all that kind of stuff. I mean, also checking on the fans, also they can manage themselves. Maybe the anger took them out, maybe to do.
But again, for the first time, this is me because I was present during that match. I'd say I'd really sanitize Gor Mahia fans in this one. And I'm saying this because I'm also a rival. I'm also a rival AFC Leopards fan, but I wouldn't say Gor Mahia fans were the ones who were bad in this game. I'd say it was more or less like they were being provoked
Exactly.
by the Askaris who were stationed to guard the fans in that particular zone. Yeah, so I think it's more or less like a pointer which should be looked into, and it's a matter because also we got also sports journalists who are injured in that particular fracas. So it's one thing that I honestly think it should be looked upon to when we are getting into the league, because this is just but an opener. It's just trying to show us how the league is going to be. So it's something that should be looked up, and we shouldn't have such kind of things again. Yeah, and just to shift gears into matters rugby, Driftwood Sevens that happened in Mombasa today of nothing but the best showcase when we are talking about rugby in the coastal region. And this is just but a leg which has come after that is the start of the National Sevens circuit. We had the likes of Princely Sevens happening in Nakuru, where we got the Bunkers, that is KCB, clinching that particular title. Then came the then came the Dallas Sevens in Kisumu. We had the likes of Kabras going home with that particular one. Then came Kabeberi Sevens here in Nairobi, home turf, hosted by Mwamba Kulabu itself. KCB went home with that particular one after edging a very stubborn Strathmore Leos in the final. They went with that one. And now we went to Mombasa for the Driftwood Sevens. Mombasa went with Kabras. Many may argue and say that the Fantastic Four of Kabras had actually gone to represent the country that is in the Bathurst Cup, and that is probably the main reason as to why Kabras really had a hard time in Kabeberi Sevens here in Nairobi. They actually lost to Daystar and Daystar Falcons in that particular. Now they went into this one and they won. There was also another shocker, Strathmore Leos being relegated to Division 2 after being finalists of the Kabeberi Sevens. I mean, rugby ya siku hizi haina adabu kabisa. So this is what went down in Mombasa for the 2-day of nothing but the best showcase when we are talking about rugby. Let's have a look, then we come back and dissect the nitty-gritties of what might possibly have gone wrong to teams which didn't emerge victorious in Mombasa. Have a look. Tackle now.
Backward. Jose. Yeah. Advantage, you can get that advantage, yeah, so we go. Yeah. touched my KCB. Advantage.
Silver medalist, K.
Okay, now that is more or less like the highlight of what has just happened this particular weekend when we are talking about rugby. Things are getting stiff, and as it stands, when we are looking at the total standings, that is the overall standings, we are looking at Cabras now standing in tall in this particular one. But I must say, there were very impressive records in this particular one. I think for the very first time, we are seeing a very massive performance from Daystar Falcons, finishing at position 3 in this particular one. Remember, Daystar have also been resilient. You're looking at their curve whenever the National 7 circuit started, it's more or less like an upwards trajectory. So we are looking out to them when we are talking about their incredible performance, because at the moment we have Embu. Then after Embu, we come back to Nairobi, that is for the Christie Sevens, hosted by the Kenya Harlequins, which is actually going to happen at the RFEA grounds here at Ngong Road, Nairobi. It's also going to be a very interesting one, because as it stands, I wouldn't just say that it's a two-horse race, KCB and Cabras, because when we are looking at it keenly, it might as well fall to the one who will win the next leg, which is the Embu leg. So it's going to be very interesting just to see whether guys are going to return their big guns. Remember, also KCB in this particular one, they had the likes of Lloyd Wabwire, who was out for the NAV, that is the National Athletics Village, who were playing in Rugby Town, that is the United States of America. So he was absent. And we also have, that is Olukusi, who is playing in Monaco for the Sevens, who was also absent in this KCB squad. So we are likely to have Lloyd Wabwire also join the squad when we are talking about Embu and also the Christies. I'm pretty much sure they'll have had Olukusi come back, and he's had some experience playing for Monaco. And do you think things will change, or rather things will fall a different trajectory when we are talking about the overall winner of the National 7 circuit? Also a story that I'd really want to hear from you. You can get interactive via social media platforms and Switch Media. Comment, because we are just but live when we are talking about matters rugby football. And of course, we'll be delving in deep into the English Premier League. But of course, we wouldn't even go without me getting your sentiments in that one. Moha, what's your take on what has just happened this weekend? Did you expect the scores? Did you expect the results? Are we likely to see other shockers when we are talking about the Embu leg?
Well, I wasn't expecting much. And talking of Cabras and Daystar Falcons, I'm a good, pretty person who watches rugby, maybe sometimes, but I support Cabras Sugar. And seeing them...
Hey, and you just support champions. You just support winners.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm a winner.
Yeah.
I'm a winner by myself. So I always go with a person who wins. Talking of Cabras, the performance was incredible. And yeah, I will say Embu leg will be pretty good.
Yeah,
to go.
Okay, fair enough. But what's your take on having the likes of Strathmore being relegated? You know what? I just want your opinion, because I know you've also played football, but I just want a player's opinion. This weekend, you have played and you are finalist. You reached the finals because they gave KCB a run for their money in the finals at the Kabeberi Sevens here. And now you are playing the next weekend, and suddenly you've been dropped to playing relegation, because in Embu they are going to be relegated. Okay, they have already been relegated. They have been relegated to Division 2. So it's guaranteed. Or else Embu are going to send them an invitation to play in Division 1, which is most likely to be the situation. But I'd really love, watu walios msinichukie, but I'd really love to see Strathmore play in Division 2. They really need to work hard and go to Division 1. This invites thing, it's not working for me. I really don't support it.
Actually, Strathmore played against KCB the game, and they won in the finalists. I think that game they dedicated to one of their own who actually died.
They lost. They didn't win in that one. They lost. Yeah, it was 14-12. That was the scoreline. Yeah.
I actually didn't see much of it, but I really knew they played that game to dedicate to one of their own whom they lost.
That is Hamza.
And also taking back where they got disappointments, being relegated to Division 2. This invite thing also didn't. I don't like it actually.
Yeah.
Maybe
let somebody fight their way through.
Yeah, fight for a thing and get it on your own so that people can see your performance. And I think Strathmore should need to work more and more to put their effort to work and reach to Division 1, maybe even the Embu leg. Yeah.
Okay. And now it's the point in time where I'm pretty much sure you have been waiting for back there at home or wherever you are watching us from. That is the English Premier League. We also had the day one of the English Premier League, and I wouldn't say it was quite impressive to most fans, and it was also impressive to others, because I've been seeing on WhatsApp status red, and they surprised me and told me, you see, when you see red, it's very easy to know that Arsenal has either lost or won, because you just look at your WhatsApp status. You will see them flooding with statuses there that they won. Let's start with game one. That was Arsenal versus Coventry. Did you expect the result of that game as it was?
Arsenal being the champions of last season, I expected to...
Okay, it's done and dusted. Let's do away with the champions.
Yeah. They call themselves the champions for right now. So I guess Arsenal performed also well in that game. And it was a good game, although Coventry also played well. Yeah.
Do you think it was a battle of managers? Because I'm looking at it as a battle of Mikel Arteta and Frank Lampard. Remember, Frank Lampard is coming back to the EPL after having a very, I'd say it was not a rosy affair the last time he was at the Premier League, because that was after Chelsea penning a deal with him. And I'd say the moment they took him, that was the moment of chaos. Or should I say it was more or less like the exodus of good things whenever he decided to leave that particular club. He even started becoming old. So don't you think it was a battle of managers? Because Frank Lampard was trying to stamp authority and telling us that, you know what, I've still not lost touch when we are talking about the English Premier League. Yeah.
A good legend and a good coach also, Frank Lampard. And I think Lampard, we will see more of his tactical games and how he will put his club more forward, taking back to the memories of days where he was a coach, manager at Chelsea, and it was actually a good chaos when you will see Chelsea being the talk of the weekend. And I see right now Coventry also improve still, but taking back to the rivalry of the two managers, Mikel Arteta and Frank Lampard, it was a bit controversy. Yeah.
Okay. Arsenal, is it strong, or it was just that they had a weaker opponent?
They
as per
had
they say?
a weak opponent. That's what I will say.
Yeah.
Because because if I know some clubs will face them, they will see something.
Yeah. They will see fire.
Fire. on those
Okay,
weekends.
now let us talk. Okay, maybe predictions. Do you think Arsenal will win their next match, and do you think Coventry will possibly win their next match?
Okay, Coventry will be pushed by the effort of being the talk of weekend, like they didn't perform in the first game of the EPL. I think the next game they will put more improvement to gain their first points for the EPL.
Yeah.
And Arsenal, talking of the next game also, I don't think so, but the prediction will be maybe draw. That's what I could
Draw for Arsenal.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting one. Okay, let's look at game 2. That is Manchester United versus Hull City. Did you expect the performance to be as what happened?
Well, from last Premier League, the hype was like, yeah, we got Carrick and all that kind of stories, and the people will be like, yeah, Carrick ball is back, and now this season is, stuff like that. But then, I don't know how to say, Man United always goes to disasters. But then I will say, this is not the end of the season. Maybe they can improve and see how the next matches they will win.
Yeah. And what's your take on, let's look at Manchester United. I'm an avid Manchester United fan. I don't deny that as well. But I saw a certain meme that was being reflected, that is after the result of what we had just garnered in the Hull City game. And they were so much on, maybe if Manchester United had really gone to the market and done a very good signing, or rather signings, things could have been different, because you're looking at what other clubs are signing. Then look at Manchester United. Do you think those ones were the best signings for Manchester United? The likes of Tielemans, Santos. We also see the likes of Baleba, in as much as he wasn't involved in that particular one. Do you think Manchester United really did great when we are talking about this particular window, or they should go back to the drawing board?
Well, the best performance I could see from Manchester United was last season, where they could improve in the less games they had for the seasons, and I think they could go back to the draw to see which potential player could they put in the field to perform on the game, to put 3 points
on the board.
Yeah, on the board. And the new signings, yeah, they are pretty good, but then let's see how the team evolves and how they move.
Okay, let's look at this other one. Ipswich Town versus Sunderland. That is 2-1. Personally, I didn't expect that result, considering that we saw Sunderland really put up a very good finish when we are talking about the 2025-2026 campaign. But this is the first game, and Ipswich Town really upped their game in that particular one. I wouldn't say it was a matter of luck. They really deserved that game. And in that one, it's not like the Manchester United versus Hull City game. You see, for Man U and Hull City, I'll probably face criticism on this one, but the best team did not win.
Yeah. The best team did not win.
Yeah, the best team did not win, because you're looking at a possession of 60 to the other 40 and stuff. United kept on possessing, Hull City kept on defending. And Manchester United cracked eventually, and that's why they won. But look at Ipswich and Sunderland. I'd say the best team won, and the best team was Ipswich. What's your take on that one?
Actually, Ipswich last season, taking back when they played against Tottenham, when people were saying like Tottenham will go for relegation and all that kind of stuff, Ipswich was actually performing last season, and this season they also came strong. And this game that they played against Sunderland was actually good. Sunderland also performed well, talking about coming back to EPL after many years. I still believe in Sunderland will change something in these games going forward.
Everton, Crystal Palace, 2-0.
Well, Everton and Crystal Palace, I didn't watch that game. And Everton also has a hype, though I don't see much of their fans. Yeah. And also, me being a Liverpool fan, also we are rivalry with Everton. I don't really watch much games of their games, but I think that was a good performance.
Okay, for Crystal Palace, this is what I'd say. You see, you look at that is the Frenchman who they had just brought on board. That is Pierre Sage himself, and I was really focused on his fast presser because he was so much geared. He was so much geared into winning his first match. But again, I even remember there was a journalist who really quoted and pinpointed the fact that he did say that he was going to win the first game away, but he will win his first game at home. So we are really so much eager into looking at that particular one because we are also seeing them together with the Newcastle and Crystal Palace. I'd say they are the ones who came in with that is new managers in this particular 2026-2027 campaign. Newcastle also had Matthias, and we are going also to Newcastle. But again, we also have Nottingham Forest and Leeds ending 1-0 in favor of Leeds. That one, was it a shocker to you, that one?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest Nottingham Forest also performed in last season, and most of these teams that I see that are winning in these games are the teams that are performed in the last season. Some of them performed, but then this is not the end of the season yet, and we can't predict what the season will go on with. Because
but definitely there are some prospects who could probably just look at it, and we know that this one might as well like maybe go towards this particular side and stuff.
Well, taking back to Manchester United, as a Manchester United, what could you see the performance was the game against Hull City? Talking of Hull City, came just out from Championship.
Yeah.
And playing against them, people put prediction on Manchester United winning the game. Yeah. And what was your own prediction?
You see, this is what I'll say. There is a standard phrase that goes around in that is in the theater of dreams, Manchester United, that here pressure is a privilege. And I wouldn't lie, getting into that match, we all knew that United, because the pressure mounts on United, and of course there's been the issue of, remember last season during the dying moments of the season, United had a brilliant streak to some point where Carrick came in magnificent, and there wasn't something that he added into the squad. He didn't add anything. He just gave the players some self-belief, and he really encouraged them to play ball the same way they have been playing ball. And it's more or less like very obvious, because you look at the history of teams, whenever they change managers, there is more or less like that tendency of a perfect curve, because you know this is change in management. So you really want to be in good books with the manager who is on board. For Hull City, they were also incredible. They were also amazing. And they kept on forging on and gearing in whenever that match was being played. Every minute, it was a success to them. Because remember, they were home. They also had a fully packed stadium. Remember, these are fans who were coming in, and they are fans who were really missing the Premier League. It was in the Premier League, and they know that they stand a chance to be in the Premier League and to compete in the Premier League. So they know their capabilities. And you look at the atmosphere even there. I was watching the game, and if the cameras just panned and you look at the atmosphere at that particular stadium, it's more or less like they knew something that we did not know as Man United fans. Because we got into that game, I'd say Man United, we underrated our opponents. And the major setback that costed us as United is the fact that Carrick gambled, more or less like whatever Gor Mahia did.
Happened.
Yeah, because when you're looking at the midfield, United, it wasn't linked. It was, I'd say it was in tatters, in shambles, because you look at the number of missed passes that were being passed there with the likes of Santos and his fella, that is Tielemans, and the caliber of players that they are. No offense, Kobe Mino should have started that game. But again, I think Carrick had that pressure of, I have signed these players and I really want them to be on the chart and to perform, which really costed us big time. So for Manchester United, I'd say let's give it the next game, maybe so that we can issue judgment. But of course, I'd encourage judgment, because we're United. Pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
And you see, whenever they start pointing at us, it means there is something in us. And remember, it's going to be a long season for us, considering that we were not in any active European competition the last season. Now we are coming into a season where we'll be really playing a lot of European competition. So it's also a challenge to Carrick. If he cannot manage the flock at this point in time, then so sad. It will be quits and goodbye for him. Because, you know, at United, we don't know how to stomach coaches who cannot give us performance. Yeah.
Also, let's take it back to Liverpool against Newcastle.
Liverpool against Newcastle, I'd say that's a game which actually Newcastle were the first ones to score. And you see, when Newcastle starts scoring, Newcastle in this particular campaign, Newcastle haven't been really intentional when we are talking about their signings, because Newcastle, at some point, they were the team who had really made a lot in terms of them selling players, because they've just been releasing. I'd talk of Newcastle and the likes of Aston Villa. Aston Villa have also been releasing their key players. Remember, they also released the likes of, that is Tielemans. They also released that is Rogers, and we expected them to actually bring in players in. That wasn't the situation. That wasn't the issue. But now look at Newcastle United. Newcastle United, I remember it was when the transfers had just kicked on. Let's probably just say like 2 weeks ago, Newcastle were talking at 240 euros. That's, I think it was 420 if I'm not wrong. That's more or less like the profits that they had just gained by just selling players. And it showed you something. Of course, let's even talk about the exit of their coach. He was their main man. And many, even skeptics or other critics, would argue out and say that the moment he left, that is Eddie Howe left, it was probably going to be an opening for the downfall of Newcastle. But I must say I was really impressed with them, seeing the likes of the DRC Congo main man, that is Yohan Wissa. Yohan Wissa was my best player when we were talking about the World Cup. I saw him terrorize, and he did not have a perfect season, considering that he was injured in that particular 25-26 campaign. Now looking at him really stand up and show his dominance and authority in that particular team, I was really happy. And you see, for even him earning the jersey number 9, it's also one thing for Castle. It says that the Magpies have something that they don't have to get players to get the job done. They still have players who can get the job done. And really frustrating Liverpool in this one. I'd say it was a draw, but to me, Liverpool lost. Liverpool lost in this particular one, because they had a chance of that game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Talking also as a Liverpool fan, you could see Alexa and Isaac faced also criticism before the game, playing against his former club, and also playing in the home ground, where you could see, even I saw some rumors from the fans of Newcastle saying that there was actually a restaurant guy who was serving Newcastle fans by the name, he was serving burger by the name Rat, which means he betrayed his own club. And also, let's take it back when he actually missed the penalty. Actually, Liverpool disappointed me, and I wasn't expecting also a good, I was expecting a good approach from the new coach who's been appointed from Bournemouth to Liverpool. I was expecting a good performance, though we took some players out like Konate, who was not there, who went to Real. And yeah, I'm a bit controversial on Liverpool's performance in this season again.
Okay, for Liverpool, I'd also say it's more or less like a harsh judgment, more or less like we should face the reality that, you know, these major clubs are undergoing a form of transition. So we should just wait and see what the transition looks like. So it's more or less like, okay, I know I'll be controversial saying that we should give them time, because, you know, time is not a key, or rather, should I say, time is not of essence when we're talking about these big clubs. I was arguing one day and I say that, you see, for Manchester United, we shouldn't get somebody who really needs time, because it's a big club, the pressure has been mounted on them, and they need to perform It's more or less like ASAP. They need to perform. You need to perform or you leave. That's why you're seeing the likes of, we can't deal with players like Garnacho. We can't deal with players like, that's why we had to let him go to Chelsea. Now he's been let go over to Aston Villa because these are mediocre players. You see, when you have that mentality of this is a big stage and I need to perform in this particular big stage, I don't see it being an issue whenever pressure starts to mount. And for Isak, you know, Isak is coming from a point where I wouldn't say he had proper playing time. That is last season, considering the fact that Liverpool, I'd say the major problem is not even coaching. The major problem with Liverpool is the locker room. I think the locker room should be checked on. What do players want? Are players playing something that is not fitting their style of play? Are players being forced into something that they are not okay with? And you see, that is the major thing when we are talking about the player welfare. Because if they are not okay playing whatever is being enforced to them to play, definitely we'll see a miss when we are talking about the performance. So Liverpool, I think we should give them time. For me, I stand in as a person who comes into this season just to hate watch, just continuing what had really happened the other season. For me, this particular weekend, to be honest, I never expected it, but it is what it is. I was really happy when I was seeing Liverpool try so much to search for a draw. I mean, you should have just lost like United. We took in the loss and we stayed with it, as in L. Nothing big than an L. But also, there is also another big shocker, because I also saw the meme loads were on this particular case. That is Brentford versus Tottenham, 3-0 for Tottenham. And it's crazy how when you look at the EPL table at this point, you are seeing Manchester United and Tottenham. And they were so much into our case, even saying that the relegation battle has started. Yeah, so that is it about the EPL. You have any other thing to add about the EPL? Maybe what we should look out for in match day 2?
Well, I saw some Chelsea fans run from Chelsea to Tottenham just because how they performed. And I could say Tottenham really did a good play form on that game. And yeah, we might see. I can't judge any games from now on because the season is still going. So I think the games which started doesn't define what you could finish with the season. And yeah, that's all I could say.
Okay, and I think at this point in time, that is where we call it quits, because we've done much when we are talking about the sporting environment and we are just getting in. Don't be deceived that the English Premier League, you should define it with whatever has happened on match day 1, because we are so much geared in what will take place in match day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so all the way to match day 37, because as a Manchester United fan, I know that is our prowess, that is where we thrive most. And also be on the lookout, because Champions League football is not so far. It is far, but not so far. You might think that it's far, but it might as well be just round the corner. We'll also be looking deeper into the Spanish La Liga. Serie A d'Italia also gearing up for a good start. It's also going to be one of our special talking points when we are talking about matters European football. I mean, there's lots and lots of stuff that we can talk about when we are talking about football. Also putting into the know that Gor Mahia have a new kit. They've unleashed a kit for this particular season. So you can go to their stores and outlets and also follow them on social media. See whether you can get that particular kit, because there is one thing that we are advocating for this particular season, is that we should watch and be available for KE. I mean, that is the Kenya Premier League. It's going to be very interesting, looking at the kind of sum of money that clubs have put into their teams. I mean, nothing that should be short of glory, or rather just entertainment, enticing, nail-biting, you can name it. Of course, that is all for now. Moha, thank you for coming through. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Same place, same time. That's on Monday when we are dissecting matters match day 2. And I'm pretty much sure I'll be the one laughing here because Manchester United will have done something that we are proud of. Remember, you can also keep the conversation going on social media platform at Switch Media across all social media platforms, and let me know your comments in regards to the English Premier League. But for now, sayonara. My name is Onje Kusimba, and always remember to put the mentality up at Mamba.